Hello, it is Alex, and here we are at Did You Know Juneau. Today I have Kaysa Korpela with me, and we're going to talk about our city. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely. I
All
love
right.
that subject.
So Kaysa, tell us a little bit about yourself, your little history.
Well, my
for
name's
Juneau.
Kaysa Korpela. My maiden name was Studi, so some people will probably recognize that name from around here. I was born and raised in town, and I lived in Sitka for about 20 years when I got married, and came back here when my parents were getting elderly and my husband had passed away. So I've been here since about 2001, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, I love Juneau. Maybe I love
Lifelong southeast.
Yes,
Alaska
definitely
person.
southeast.
Definitely southeast. That's nice. All right. And what part of town do you live in?
I live out North Douglas.
Oh, really?
I've actually lived everywhere in town.
Oh, okay.
My
Okay.
dad was in construction, and plus I like to build, and well, at the time when I could afford it, I like to remodel homes.
Oh, okay.
And so I bought and sold about 10 homes over the last 10 years, and so I've lived in the valley, and I've lived up on the hillside. Everywhere, pretty much. Douglas, North Douglas.
You really have lived everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it definitely makes a difference I think it makes a difference when you do live everywhere in Juneau
Yeah.
specifically. I guess I say that because you do experience different populations.
And there's
in
no
each
place that I've lived that I didn't like.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
I liked living in the valley when I lived
Okay.
there, and I love North Douglas.
That's what I was say. I've lived in some North Douglas
So do
areas.
they have better blueberries in North Douglas?
My backyard is full of blueberries.
Oh.
Really?
And no bears.
Nice.
And no bears.
bears.
No
Really?
bears.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Treadwell Ditch, the trail.
Right.
I've done the whole thing and
Okay.
constantly love like getting up in that area
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. So
I have a friend that walks that all the time.
yeah, it's
So,
very
good
friendly and feels safe and everything like that.
Well, Trail
so.
Mix did a great job.
They
with
did
it.
do. They did do.
So.
So tell me a little bit about what you do now.
Well, I'm retired now.
Okay.
I was an office administrator, and most recently here I worked down at the Bears Lair.
Mhm.
But
Oh, that's where I've seen you.
Right.
So good.
But it's, I just do it at public markets, and I have
Okay.
quite a clientele around town. And
Yep. Every time I see you, I buy stuff.
yeah, well, thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it.
That's so funny because I recognize you now from the Bears Lair, and
Okay.
then like Molly recognized you from the olive oil.
Yeah, I've got something for everybody.
We were talking about this where Juneau is like that, where you're like, oh, that's where I've seen you.
But then at other times, like I never see anybody I know. Fred Meyer's is about the only place on grocery day, which is for us Sunday.
Okay.
Then I see a lot of people I know. It's kind of like old times there, But I graduated here in 1969. I've got a lot of classmates still here. And
We should talk a little bit about, because we talked a little bit about how Juneau has changed over time,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
My both sets of grandparents, one came up when it was a territory, the other one came up right as it was a state, right? And it has changed so much since then. Like
Yeah.
the stories my mom tells and my dad tells, and the way that I've experienced Alaska has changed quite a bit.
Oh yeah, it's not as, I don't think it's as family friendly as it used to be.
Yeah.
We always used to play in the woods and out on the streets and ride our bicycles and that kind of stuff. I don't see a lot of kids doing that anymore. But it's still, the other day we saw a bear on Egan.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
So it's still rural. It's still a country.
Yeah, it still is.
There was a bear by FedEx.
Oh, what's there?
Really?
By the airport.
Boy,
Wow.
He was
I
deep
flew
in it.
in and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, there's a bear right there.
Wow.
So,
So it sounds like you've kind of bought and sold multiple houses
I have.
here in Juneau.
Mhm.
So my question first is, how'd that go for you? We're definitely seeing some different trends
Right.
buying and selling in Juneau now.
Right.
What have you experienced in the past?
Well, this was before Flip Your Houses became a big thing on television. So I got in while people were still selling cheaply, and
Mm-hmm.
and there was some remodeling to be done. I never bought a house that didn't have a good skeleton framework, but the inside needed work: flooring, kitchen cabinets, new walls, stuff like that. But,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that work with a fella that I hired, and it worked out really well for me. I never lost any money. And then I built this house 6 years ago that I'm in now.
Oh, okay.
And it's a big house, and my daughter owns half of it.
Oh, okay,
So-
okay.
My old age plan.
Oh, yeah. Hey, it sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Don't
not-
tell her that.
Oh, okay. And when do you think you really saw like the big shift in price or big shift in, oh, it's too expensive?
Just within the last few years.
Really?
Yeah.
So very recently.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, somebody told me the other day that one of the park stores sold for $425,000.
Yeah.
I owned 2 of those over time. I lived in 2, and all of them, the most they ever sold for was $250,000.
Really?
And now, I don't know if this is true, but $425,000.
Right.
And with
And they're
surge
what,
coming
2
in,
Yeah.
Two
it's-
bedroom, 2 bath, maybe.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
about
Not any
that.
bigger than that, right?
Right.
but they're
Absolutely.
really nice places.
They are.
Definitely. But as now with surge coming in, there's going to be more professionals, and they have to find housing, and
Mhm.
and they're going to be willing to pay whatever the demand is. So I think property values around here are just going to keep going up.
Yeah.
I don't know what my daughter's going to do if I die.
Oh my goodness.
She's going to have to be able to afford. We're going to have $1 million home before too long, because with the assessments just going up and up,
Mhm.
that's not what I paid for it when I built it, but.
Right.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your experience this year with the assessor, but also kind of compare it to previous years, because
Okay, I
this
can
isn't
do
your
that.
first time you had to deal with them, I don't think.
Well, you know what? In the past, I really didn't pay much attention to it because I have an escrow. Your property taxes and your home insurance are included in that escrow, so it's divided by 12.
Yep.
And then assessed each month. So generally, I haven't paid much attention to it because my property tax would go up every year. But once you divide it by 12, it's $100, $200, whatever. But this time, my assessment went up, and I didn't think about it. I had it on the counter, didn't think about it. But my neighbor presented me with an Excel spreadsheet about all of the homes in our neighborhood on North Douglas.
Really?
And mine had gone up higher than everybody's, including the waterfront. Mine went up almost 18%. Some of the ones on the waterfront went up 5%, 7%, some went up 12%. It was just kind of willy-nilly. It didn't make any sense to me. And she said she was going to appeal, and I thought, well, the appeal process seemed pretty simple. So I decided for once I would appeal it. And so I wrote the appeal and sent it in, and then problems started.
So this is, am I allowed to ask? Because I heard you have an exemption based on age.
I do. I have a senior exemption because
Okay.
I'm over 65,
Okay.
and so the first $150,000 is tax exempt.
Okay.
But still, I'd always been paying. I've been over 65 for 7 years now. So up is up.
Up is up.
I was just surprised that mine went up. I built my house 8 or 6 years ago, like I said, and I just didn't see any reason why mine should have gone up that high, and they didn't tell me any reason why it did. When I put in the appeal, or I guess that's what you call it, an appeal.
Right.
I got a letter back from the assessor's office. You're not going to take pictures of the inside of my house. I said that my furniture and my appliances and my artwork is of no business of yours. If there was a tax on personal property, that would be fine. But my house is 6 years old and it's finished, and you can see what it looks like on the outside. He said they would need to do that in order to determine the condition of my home. I said, you can determine that by looking at the outside.
And the age. It's
Yeah,
6
6
years
years
old.
old. So
Interesting.